Welcome to Rambam in Depth. Today we'll be discussing the Rambam Hilchos Beis Abchira, Perek Beis Halacha Daled. After the Rambam explains about how precise the Mizbeach has to be, the location of the Mizbeach, and the dimensions of the Mizbeach, he mentions and he quotes the Gemara in Zvachim with some addition. Ushleisha Nevi'im Olo Imam min HaGoyla. 3 Nevi'im came up to Israel, returned to Eretz Yisrael from exile. Echad Hayed Elhen al Mokim Mizbeach. One Navi testified as to where the Mizbeach should be. It has to be in a very exact location. Ve'echad Hayed Elhen al Midaisav. Another one testified about the dimensions of the Mizbeach, which also have to be precise. Ve'echad, and another one, the third one, Hayed Lehen, he testified to the Yidden who came up during the second Beit Hamikdash, Shemakrivim al Mizbeach, Azer Kol HaKabanos, Avlapisha Ein Shom Bayis, that you could be makrib, you can offer on this Mizbeach all the sacrifices, even though there is no bias, there's no Beit Hamikdash. So the first question is, the Gemara in Zvachim does not mention the words Al Mizbeach Hazeh. One testified that you could be makrib on this Mizbeach. What does he mean by this Mizbeach? You can be makrib for all the karbalas even without a Beit Hamikdash. Dafka this Mizbeach. What did he mean by this Mizbeach? Another question is, the Rambam, presumably, is basing this on the Halacha. There's a machlekes in the Gemara in several places about Kedusha Rishayna, Kitcha L'Shaita, Ula Asidlava. If the first Kedusha, first sanctification of the Beit Hamikdash by Shlomo HaMelech, was that one for that time and for eternity, for the future as well, well, this Halacha that you could be makriv without a Mizbeach, without a Beit Hamikdash rather, is based on that Halacha, that you don't need the Beit Hamikdash because the Kedusha of the Beit Hamikdash remains even after it was destroyed. And in fact, that's how the Rambam paskins later on in Perek Vav, Halacha Tes Vav, that Kedusha Rishayna lasts forever, and therefore Makrivim Alpha Pisha Ein Bias. So that raises several questions. Number one, why does the Rambam have to mention that here? He's going to discuss that later on in Perek Vav. That's the place to talk about the Kedusha of the Beit Hamikdash. Here the discussion is about the Mizbeach. Another question, why does the Rambam have to repeat himself? Not only is it not the right place, but why would he have to mention in 2 places? And another question is, a Navi is not allowed to be Mechadish a new halacha. A Navi cannot paskin like one opinion over another, mitzad nevuah. So the fact that the Navi testified about the Mokim HaMizbeach, that's a mitzias. It's not paskening a halacha. It's telling you where the Mizbeach was situated in the first Beit Hamikdash, and they're just testifying that this is where it is. A Navi has no less trustworthiness than anyone else. As far as the dimensions of the Mizbeach, that's also a mitzias. It's also a reality, a fact. It's not a halacha. But the question about whether you can be makriv on a Mizbeach without the Beit Hamikdash, that's a matter of halacha, and there's a dispute about it, a dispute of Tanoim and Amoraim. And Eliyahu is coming here to paskin. How could a Navi is coming here to paskin? How could a Navi, just like Eliyahu, cannot paskin if it's a halacha? It can only be reveal a mitzias. The same thing, and even more so, a Navi cannot paskin halacha. And the Rambam in Hilchos Yesodei Torah rules that if a Navi does that, he's chayiv misa. It's totally against the whole klal of what a Navi comes for. So the first question that we ask, why does the Rambam emphasize on Mizbeach Hazeh? So there's a sefer on the Rambam called Sefer Har HaMiriah, and he explains the following, that the Rambam is trying to tell you, number one, the dafka on the Mizbeach Hiki Makriv. But if you don't have a Mizbeach, or if you have the place of the Mizbeach, you can't be makriv a carbon. The fact that the ritzpah, the floor of the Beit Hamikdash, according to Rabbi Yehuda, has the din of Mizbeach, but we don't paskin like that. And therefore, the Rambam is trying to say you have to have a Mizbeach. You can't do it on the ritzpah. And then the Rambam adds the word hazeh, that the Mizbeach that they built in the days of Shlomo HaMelech, there, before the Kedusha was instituted, you couldn't be makriv on that Mizbeach without a Beit Hamikdash. First, you needed the Beit Hamikdash for the Kedusha. It's only this Mizbeach, the Mizbeach that was built in the days of Ezra, then you could say that even though there was not yet a Beit Hamikdash, you could be makriv without the Beit Hamikdash, because the Kedusha Rishayna Kitchel Asilave. But that's a very difficult halacha. Why is the Rambam trying to tell you that something in the past was not acceptable. We're not dealing with the past. The Rambam is not going to tell you a halacha for the days of Shlomo Melech if it's taligeya for the future. Another approach that some take is that he's trying to say that you could bring a carbon without a Beit Hamikdash on a Mizbeach. It can only be the Mizbeach HaChitzin, the external Mizbeach. But the Mizbeach HaPnimi, to bring Keteris, if there's no Beit Hamikdash, there we do not say that you could be makriv Keteris without the Beit Hamikdash. Because there's a special halacha that even if the roof of the Beit Hamikdash is defective, the halacha is you could not do the avodas on the Mizbeach HaPnimi, as the Rambam paskins at Hilchos Yom Kippurim. So here also, the Rambam is trying to emphasize that it has to be dafka the Mizbeach HaChitzin. Perhaps we could add a third approach. There are other approaches as well. We won't be ma'arich in them. The third approach is based on the diuk of a Mizbeach Hazeh, and the question, how could a Navi be mechadish a halacha and paskin a halacha? And the answer is that that's exactly what the Rambam says, al Mizbeach Hazeh. This was not based on halacha. Yes, there is a halacha about this, and that's a dispute of Tanoim. But this was based on a nevuah. And a Navi, although he's not allowed to be mechadish a halacha, he's allowed to be mechadish a halacha or even change a halacha if it's a hirah shah, if it's only a one-time thing. So when they built the second Beit Hamikdash, before they built a Mizbeach to be Makav Karbanis. What right do they have to be Makav Karbanis without a Beit Hamikdash? So the Nevi'im, the third Navi, testified that, yes, this location, this Mizbeach, even though without a bias, you could be Makav Karbanis. It's a Hirah Shah. It was a one-time thing. If it's a one-time thing, a Navi has the right to change that. And that's the halacha, that even if you don't have a Beit Hamikdash, you could be Makriv on this Mizbeach. There was a one-time thing. Later on, the halacha was paskin that Kedusha Rishena Kedusha L'Shaita L'Osalav. So even today, if we knew how to build a Mizbeach, you knew the location, we knew the Midas of Mizbeach, then we'd be able to Makriv Karbanis, because now we paskin l'halacha, not just based on the Nevuah. The Nevuah was a one-time Nevuah, they were saying. That one time we followed that psak, regardless of whether the halacha is that Kedusha Rishena is Kedusha L'Shaita L'Osalav. Regardless. We find a similar thing when Ezra gave a knas to the Leviim because they didn't come up to the second Beit Hamikdash, that we should give meiser to the Kayanim, not to the Leviim. So the question is, how was Ezra allowed to change the halacha? So Rabbi Derek Berish Zuckerman, the Rav in Buffalo many decades ago, in his Sefer Beis Aaron, says that the Rambam there emphasizes it was for that period. It was a one-time thing. It was not a halacha that they, for all future. Once it's only a one-time thing, a Navi has the right to change the halacha. Here also, it was a one-time psak that you could be makriv karbanis without a Beit Hamikdash. You didn't need a psak of halacha because the Navi has a right to tell you what to do, even if it's not consistent with halacha, if it's a one-time thing.